I'm Max Clark. Let's talk about a nightmare supplier for you as a customer. And a nightmare supplier is not necessarily one that just sucks, where everything is bad all the time and they're just always down and their service doesn't work. You know, those ones you can figure out and you can suss out before you become entrenched with them and you can avoid them, you know? So like if a network company just sucks and they're always down, like you're going to know about it and you're going to avoid it. The real nightmares for me are the suppliers where everything almost works. You know, and they've got great blog posts, and they've got great engineering blogs, and they've got great marketing, and they've got great hype, and they've got a really, good community, and you hear lots of people using them, and they're really popular, but everything almost works. Nothing just really always works. It's like there's always just some little thing that just doesn't work right. And usually these companies seem to have a go-to-market motion that is, not like a top-down enterprise, because to sell into the enterprise markets, it's really ruthless, it's hard, and there's a high standard that's extracted from you, a lot of contractual requirements. It's hard to be a bad service provider, a bad supplier to the enterprise. So the go-to-market motion for these, for these nightmares usually comes up from the consumer and the prosumer space, where they have a free or almost free offering to onboard and to acquire customers. Because now you've onboarded into a free service, and then you realize, wait, we're really reliant on this thing now, or we're already using it, so let's just go ahead and upgrade it and pay for it. And a couple things happen very quickly. And the first one is it's really expensive. That hop from whatever you're doing on that free or prosumer service into the paid enterprise service is usually like eye-wateringly like jarring of the difference. And it's also, I've seen a lot of really bad scenarios happen with companies where, the people that were negotiating these deals didn't really understand what they were negotiating because they didn't spend any time in the market evaluating competitors. It was just like, we already use this thing, so let's just go contract with it. And then you get into these things where you have like horrible contract terms. You've got no SLA, you've got terrible pricing, you've got all these things that are just really bad because you just were like, oh yeah, whatever, we're using them right now. Let's just go ahead and activate these extra features by paying this extra money. And like, what harm could it do? Well, it can do a lot of harm. It can do a lot of harm. Signing a contract with the wrong supplier is actually like probably worse than like not having anything at all in the first place. Because your options now are just spend double the money. Like what do you got to do? You got to unwind everything you did. You have to sign a contract with somebody else, and you have to spend double the money. And for an enterprise, for a purchase, for a company to like make that decision of like, oh, we effed this up and we're going to undo it by spending double, like that just doesn't happen. Like people, it's too politically risky to even admit that you made that mistake to go do it. So it just doesn't happen. So like, I've got some personal pet peeves in this space of like the everything almost works. There's an example right now of a company that's just got a phenomenal offering and they've got great consumer and prosumer services. And then you start getting into these other things where they're pushing into, and it's like everything comes out, everything almost works. It's like everything is almost right, but like isn't feature complete. And it's like, did it come to market too soon? Does it need another 2 years for it to mature before it's really ready? Was this like really a beta or alpha thing that just got rushed out? But then you see it over and over and over and over and over again, and things don't actually mature and fix. Or, it's like this push into zero trust, where it's like, oh, we've got the zero trust offering, which by the way means that you need to install our client on your desktops and on your mobile devices, because that's how you actually connect into the network in order to do everything that you need to do from a zero trust standpoint, whether that's just the basic stuff of like URL filtering and secure web gateway to, remote browser inspection, or you actually want a CASB or DLP, or you actually want a ZTNA client with remote access and all these different things. Well, you've got to have this client installed. But then you go and install this client and you're like, wow, this thing is like really popular and there's just a bajillion people using it and it's like really awesome and does really cool things, but like, why does my battery on my cell phone go to 0 in 25 minutes when I turn this thing on? Like such a basic example of like everything almost works. Like you want this thing to work and you're desperate for this thing to work, but you can't use it. How do you deploy a piece of software to an enterprise, to 1,000 users, that when they actually turn this thing on their cell phone, it kills their battery and their cell phone becomes unusable? What happens? Like the thing gets turned off. Then you have to push a policy with your MDM or your UEM to make the thing always on and not be able to be disabled. But then people's cell phones don't work because their cell phones are always dead or they always have to be charging. And now instead of creating a situation where you're actually pushing the organization forward in technology and ease of use and remote access and security and everything else, you've made everybody hate you and your software, which then gets ripped out and, by the way, doesn't get replaced. You've created a situation where you've actually shot yourself in the foot, because instead of getting what you actually want, which is a secure mobile workforce, you've made it that your workforce never wants to be running anything ever again, because now everything's going to be crap just like this thing that you were running, because that's the experience that they had with with it. And even if you figured out how to convince the organization to go out and go license somebody else and go do business with somebody else, they won't do it. And I say all this because, you read all these great marketing motions and great engineering motions and great social media profiles and all this different energy and all this different stuff around it. And this stuff looks just amazing. And like people want to use it. And it sounds fantastic. And I want to use it. And I want to put it on my wife's computer. And like, this is incredible. And then you deploy it and you're like, oh my God, it's terrible. Or, you're reading comparisons of like, you should run these guys versus these guys because the time to first byte now is so fantastic on us. And we're faster than everybody else in the market. But guess what? You can't use us because if you turn us on your cell phone, your cell phone's going to die and you got to turn it off. Does it really matter that on our arbitrary scale that we've decided to publish in terms of how we're faster than everybody else, it doesn't really matter because you can't use us because it kills the device and your employees will turn it off, right? And your user base will turn it off. So I am very careful when we are onboarding new suppliers into our portfolio that we're taking and exposing eventually to our clients. There is a reason why we dog food this ourselves internally. We run this stuff ourselves. I run it. I push it on my, wife's devices. Our technical staff runs it. Our technical staff runs it. Our non-technical staff runs it. And we do this because we want to understand what this thing is like in the real world. Is this thing usable or is this thing just a disaster waiting to happen? This isn't, surprisingly, every few months, there's some new hotness, in tech that I can't wait to get and finally get, and we get installed and we go through. I mean, we literally have to jump through a ton of hoops just to like get to the point where you're going to like install and do an evaluation of these things. And then you install it and you're like, this is just garbage. It is just hot garbage. We can't run this. A lot of the times we find really good suppliers and sometimes we find really, really bad suppliers. And we're really careful about it. The advice that we give our clients related to their contracts, right? You need to have SLA protections and contractual protections that allow you to get out of a contract if that supplier is terrible, and terrible. There's lots of different definitions for it. You need to be covering your bases because, this isn't about trying to recoup your investment and get your money back. This is about just being able to like get out and move on. You're not going to get even, right? You're not trying to get even. You just want to get out. You just want to, it's like you want to break up and never talk to them ever again and just move on with your life and go find, if you're in a bad relationship and you break up, the last thing you want to do is be like stuck with that person. You want to break up and you want to go out and you want to go, find your soulmate, right? And the same thing is true within the tech space. So, dealing with this right now, everything almost works. And if it all worked, it'd be amazing. But unfortunately, it just doesn't. I'm Matt Clark. Hopefully this helps you.